Welcome to One Medical Group. My name is Tom Lee. I'm the founder of One Medical, and some of the providers thought it might be helpful if we did a little Q&A to kind of give you a little bit more color about the group and kind of what we're trying to work on together as a group. To help facilitate, we thought we'd try a little Q&A. We've got Meg Scott, one of our fantastic nurse practitioners and kind of leaders within the clinical team, and so she'll be interviewing me. And this is a little off the cuff, just to give you some context, but we want to keep it informal and casual to make sure that you're getting whatever might be of interest to you guys.
So can you talk a little bit about why you founded the practice and the mission?
When I went into medicine, I wanted to be a primary care physician. I had a fundamental belief that stronger primary care would be part of the solution to fixing healthcare in the United States. And then ultimately it led to the inspiration for creating One Medical, which is an organization built on new values about supporting people, kind of new economics, so you could actually support and sustain primary care within the kind of funky reimbursement environment that we're in, and to really kind of build a different primary care system that better cared for patients more thoughtfully.
So Tom, can you talk about your broader vision for the practice?
Sure. I mean, it's a shared vision, so it's not just my vision, but I think, what we share as a group is to really transform healthcare and make kind of higher quality care more affordable to all Americans. I think there are lots of different components to how we do that, but it's really focused on, the quality of care and how we work as teams to kind of redefine what the standard is for kind of comprehensive primary care. But it's also looking at kind of the service model and how do we kind of build and support people and careers to better deliver a great patient experience. And then the technology piece and kind of how we look at technology in creative, novel ways so that we can kind of transform what it means to kind of get healthcare from a broader system and team. So, big picture, fix healthcare, improve quality and service at lower cost, and kind of with lots of steps along the way.
Great. And what would you say is the key difference? What makes One Medical different from other primary care practices who are trying to do similar things?
The fundamental premise of the organization when we started was to start from scratch, right? A lot of the healthcare organizations had been built up over legacy years of decades. And what happens is you institutionalize norms that aren't necessarily in the patient's best interest or don't support providers, but have some odd arcane reason about why it was kind of done. So what we did with One Medical was we wanted to start from scratch. Clean slate, don't do anything just because it's been done, but start with the patient. Kind of think about the people necessary to kind of support the patient in terms of provider care and administrative support, and to kind of really design a new system of care. So when you really kind of look back, it's really just a rebuilding of the foundation, looking at people, culture, kind of new processes and new systems that better support providers and better deliver on patient care.
And can you describe this specific qualities that we want to see in our providers? What kinds of providers, doctors, physicians, nurse practitioners, do we want to have?
Right. So the short answer is it's kind of providers that we would want as providers, right? So, it's people that we would trust our family members with to deliver patient care for our mothers, our fathers, our spouses, or otherwise. So that's the easy answer. Mm-hmm. Kind of the more complicated answer is, well, what are those characteristics? And so if you kind of think about, the generalized characteristics about providers at One Medical, I think it's, they have a real desire to deliver higher quality care than, the average doctor. They have kind of a high bar for what it means to deliver high quality primary care. They've got the skill set to deliver that, which kind of our thesis, I think, philosophically, is the ability to truly listen to patients, to really understand their fundamental needs, try to understand their problems as patients, and to better solve those problems in a kind of a shared collaborative manner. So it's a very different style than, let's call it, more old school, top-down, dogmatic, paternalistic medicine. It's much more shared, collaborative, thoughtful caregiving. But kind of not ignoring kind of the fundamental basics, like the basic science, evidence-based care, and being open-minded to more holistic, kind of progressive, genomic, kind of population health, kind of team-based systems. So it's a lot of stuff, and that's what makes, I think, a One Medical provider distinct and unique. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're trying to find. It's a high bar, but I think we want to have high standards for people who join our practice.
Great. And can you talk a little bit about how providers are empowered to make One Medical the best primary care practice?
Yeah, so ultimately it's about the systems, right? So if you believe that primary care should be delivered locally by providers with their local patients, You cannot have a central top-down system that says everybody must be treated this way, right? We have a shared philosophy, we have shared values, and that should be good enough to allow our providers at a local level to really own their practices. And so, as we get larger, our goal is to continue to decentralize and localize ownership so that practitioners can care for their patients in the best way possible.
And just one last question. If you had to give one piece of advice to a new provider coming into the practice, what would that be?
Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't thought about that. The only thing I would say is meet as many people as you can. I think, particularly as we move to local offices, it'll be easy to kind of meet the people in your local office and get to know your team really well. And I think what you may lose out on is how great and varied all the providers and people are across the organization. So it could be some of the administrative staff, some of the people associated with the clinical support team, it could be the engineers, the marketing team. But in addition to becoming kind of really just owning your own stuff and becoming really good at being a clinician within One Medical, I'd encourage you to reach out and kind of meet other people and kind of realize the diversity and kind of great richness of people that exist in the broader ecosystem.